Excuse me, young man. Are you the manager here? The voice cut through the air like a siren, halting the steady hum of the Greenridge Mall. Heads turned. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Even the carousel music in the center court seemed to dip in volume, as if the entire place held its breath. Standing at the entrance of Trend's Clothing, 33-year-old Karen had her hands planted on her hips, her chin raised with military precision, and an expression that could curdle milk. She wasn't just annoyed. She was about to make history. The kind of history security guards tell rookies about. It all began 15 minutes earlier. Karen had waltzed into Trends with one goal: to find the perfect statement jacket for her neighborhood committee meeting. She didn't believe in ordinary clothes. Everything she wore had to speak volumes. But when she spotted a pastel pink leather jacket on display, her heartbeat quickened. That's it. That's the one. She picked it up, feeling the faux leather between her fingers. It was soft, beautiful, flawless, except for one thing. The price tag read $79.99. Karen frowned. She knew she'd seen it on the store's online page last night for $59.99. Armed with this knowledge, she marched to the counter where a young cashier named Ben stood, scanning items for a line of customers. "Excuse me," Karen began, tapping the counter with her acrylic nails. "This jacket is marked incorrectly. You need to fix this. Right now." Ben gave a polite smile. "I can check our system for you." "Check your system?" Karen scoffed. "I am the system, sweetie. I know what I saw." When Ben returned and politely explained that the online price was part of a web-exclusive sale, Karen's lips pursed like a closing drawbridge. "That's illegal. I'll have you know, I've read the Consumer Rights Act. And this," she shook the jacket, "is false advertising." By now, a small crowd had gathered. A mother with a stroller slowed her walk. Two teenagers recording on their phones whispered, "She's going full Karen." Then Karen raised her voice, loud enough for shoppers in the food court to hear. "If you don't honor this price, I will speak to corporate, the news, and possibly the mayor." Security radios crackled. A mall cop named Dwight was already making his way through the crowd, coffee in hand. Karen noticed him, straightened her posture, and prepared for her moment. She wasn't just about to win a price dispute. She was about to prove a point, one the whole mall would remember. Dwight had been a mall security guard for 12 years, and in that time, he'd handled runaway toddlers, a swarm of ducks in the fountain, and once, a man trying to return a half-eaten pretzel. But nothing, compared to the legendary public price dispute. As he approached the crowd, he caught sight of Karen, standing like a queen addressing her subjects. The pink jacket hung over her arm, its price tag dangling like a piece of incriminating evidence. "Ma'am," Dwight began in his calm, practiced tone, "I'm going to need you to lower your voice and step aside so we can talk." Karen turned to him slowly, her expression switching from outrage to polite condescension. "Young man," she said, though Dwight was clearly in his 40s. "I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation." "I understand you're upset," Dwight said evenly. "But we can't block the checkout line." Karen gestured to Ben, the cashier, as if presenting her star witness. "This employee refuses to honor the advertised price of this jacket, which is a violation of my consumer rights." Ben looked like he wanted to melt into the cash register. Dwight glanced at the crowd, now at least 20 people deep. Phones were everywhere, recording. He knew this was going to be on social media before his lunch break ended. "Ma'am, the store can set different prices online and in person," Dwight explained. "It's not against the law." Karen's eyebrows shot up. "Are you seriously taking his side? You're supposed to protect the people, not big business." The crowd murmured. Someone in the back whispered, "She's gonna explode." Dwight stayed calm. "No one's against you, ma'am. But yelling at staff isn't going to change the policy." Karen straightened her shoulders. "Fine. Then I'll take this to someone above you." Dwight sighed internally. Above me usually meant one thing, the mall manager. And the mall manager, Shelley Reynolds, had no patience for drama. Still, Dwight pulled out his radio. "Shelley, I've got a situation at Trends Clothing," he said. Karen smirked as if victory was already hers. Within minutes, Shelley appeared. A tall woman in a blazer, holding a clipboard like a shield. Her eyes swept the scene, noting the jacket, the crowd, and the phones. "All right," Shelley said. "What's the problem?" Karen stepped forward. "The problem is theft. This store is stealing from its customers, and I'm not leaving until justice is served." Shelley glanced at Dwight, then at Ben, then back to Karen. She took a deep breath. "Ma'am, I think you should know something about that jacket before you go any further." The crowd leaned in. Even the carousel music in the distance seemed to fade away. Karen folded her arms. "Well, what is it?" Shelley adjusted her clipboard and spoke clearly, the way someone does when they're about to drop a bomb. "That jacket you're holding isn't for sale in-store at all. It's part of a promotional display." Karen blinked. "Excuse me?" It's one of our online-only items, Shelley explained. This one is a sample sent from the warehouse. It's not tagged for store inventory. And the price you see is just a placeholder so it can be scanned if we ever need to track it. Ben, still hovering behind the counter, added nervously. That's why it's not matching the online price. Technically, this one isn't even supposed to be on the rack. The crowd murmured. Someone whispered, "Oh." Awkward. Karen's lips tightened. Then why was it out here for customers to see? That's entrapment. I could sue, Dwight muttered under his breath. That's not what entrapment means. But wisely didn't say it loud enough for her to hear. Shelley kept her tone professional. Ma'am, mistakes happen. A new stock associate probably put it on display by accident. If you'd like, I can order the jacket online for you right now, and have it shipped to your home for the correct price. Karen considered this. She could feel dozens of eyes on her. Walking away with nothing would look like defeat, and Karen did not do defeat. No, she said finally, I want this jacket, the one I'm holding, the one I've already invested my time in choosing. Shelley's smile was polite but firm. That's not possible. Store policy says display-only items must remain in the store. Karen's cheeks flushed. Then I'll take it up with corporate. That's your right, Shelley replied calmly. Would you like the number? The crowd was eating this up. A teenager in the front row whispered, "She's losing," while another recorded from a low angle for dramatic effect. Karen's mind was racing. She had two options, walk away quietly, or escalate in a way people would talk about for weeks. And really, was there even a choice? She took a deep breath, lifted the jacket high above her head, and announced loudly, "If this mall thinks it can treat paying customers like criminals, then maybe I'll just try it on right here and walk out." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Dwight's hand instinctively went to his radio. Shelley's eyes narrowed. "Ma'am, that would be theft." Karen smiled faintly, as if she'd just been dared. For a moment, no one moved. Karen stood in the middle of Trend's clothing, the pink jacket draped dramatically over her shoulders, as if she were starring in her own slow-motion commercial. The crowd's collective gasp seemed to fuel her. "You can't arrest me for wearing something in a store," Karen said, smoothing the sleeves. "It's called trying it on. Every customer does it." Dwight shifted his stance. "Trying it on is fine. Walking out without paying is not." Karen gave him a sweet smile. "Then maybe I just won't notice the door." The teenagers in the crowd were now openly cheering her on. "Do it!" one whispered. Legendary move. Shelley stepped forward, her voice steady. "Ma'am, if you walk out with that jacket, you will be stopped, and we will involve the police. This is your last warning." But Karen was already in motion. She turned on her heel, chin up, striding toward the entrance like a runway model. "Karen," Ben called nervously, "please." "Don't please me," she shot back without breaking stride. "I'm standing up for every shopper who's been wronged." The crowd followed, spilling out of the store and into the main walkway of the mall. Phones were raised, lenses catching every step. Dwight kept pace behind her, radio in hand, murmuring codes to another security officer. His partner, a younger guard named Tyler, appeared from the food court entrance and moved to block Karen's path. "Ma'am, let's not do this," Tyler said gently. Karen slowed but didn't stop. "Do what?" "I'm just going to another store to compare prices." Tyler looked to Dwight, who shook his head subtly. They both knew the cameras were rolling. This needed to be handled perfectly. "Karen," Shelley said firmly from behind, "if you leave Trends with that jacket, you will be trespassing with stolen property. I strongly suggest you take it off and hand it back." Karen paused at the glass doors of the mall entrance. Sunlight streamed in, highlighting her defiant expression. For a moment it felt like the climax of a courtroom drama. Then she did something no one expected. Karen reached into her handbag, pulled out a 100 bill, and slapped it against Dwight's chest. "Fine, here's your money. Now it's mine." Ben called from the store. "We can't take cash like that." "It has to be through the register," Karen smirked. "Guess you'll have to stop me then." With that, she pushed the doors open and stepped outside. The moment Karen's heels clicked onto the sunlit pavement outside the mall, the crowd erupted in gasps and whispers. Cameras were everywhere now, not just phones, but even a local news crew who had apparently been tipped off mid-drama. Dwight and Tyler followed her out, keeping a careful distance. Shelley stopped at the doorway, clipboard in hand, her jaw set. "Ma'am," Dwight called, "this is your last chance to come back inside and return the jacket." Karen turned slowly, the wind catching her hair like she was posing for a magazine cover. "I paid you," she said, gesturing toward the crumpled $100 bill still in Dwight's hand. "Transaction complete." "That's not how purchases work," Tyler reminded her gently. "Oh, it's how justice works," Karen shot back. "You wanted money, I gave you money. Now I'm leaving." The murmurs from the crowd grew louder. Some people seemed to think she was a hero, standing up against corporate greed. Others whispered about how badly this was going to end for her. And then came the sound no one expected. Applause. It started with a group of teenagers on the sidelines, clapping like they were watching a street performance. A few more joined in. Soon, half the crowd was cheering. Karen's smile widened. This was it. Her moment. She lifted her arms like a victorious athlete. See? People know when someone's been wronged. But her triumph was short-lived. 2 police officers approached from across the parking lot, their cruiser still idling by the curb. Dwight stepped forward to brief them, handing over the $100 bill. Ma'am, one officer said firmly, we've been informed that you removed store property without completing a legal transaction. We're going to need you to return the jacket. Karen crossed her arms. I'm not under arrest, am I? Not yet, the officer replied. But if you refuse to cooperate, that will change. The crowd went dead silent. Even the cheering teens held their breath. Karen looked from the officers to the cameras, then back to the jacket on her shoulders. For a long moment, she just stood there. Finally, with exaggerated slowness, she slid the jacket off and held it up for everyone to see. Fine, but know this, the fight isn't over. You'll all be hearing from me again. She handed the jacket to Dwight, turned on her heel, and walked away. Phone already in hand as she began dialing. The crowd dispersed, buzzing with gossip. Shelley sighed in relief. Dwight shook his head. And somewhere, on half a dozen social media platforms, the video was already going viral under the title, Karen in the Mall, the day she took on trends.